Hello folks, Everchanger here, and welcome back to more Pokemon Blaze Black 2. Last time, we explored the Abundant Shrine, an area hidden away on Route 14. And we also explored some other areas newly accessible to us by way of waterfall. And this time, it is now summer because I am recording this on February 1st, which is a Monday as it would have it. This is relevant because there is something that occurs only on Mondays that I would like to show off. So, I think what we'd like to do is head out to the east from Undella Town, and we will find ourselves in Undella Bay. Even more stuff to be found on the beaches here. Here we have a heart scale. This area is, once again, optional, but it's definitely worth your time to come over here. First off, we have a Draco Plate, which is something you'll definitely want to pick up, because it powers up Dragon-type moves. Now, this right here is what I wanted to show off. This right here is a Jellicent. This Jellicent is particularly interesting because it will only appear on Mondays and only in Blaze Black 2. It will always be male in Blaze Black 2, and in Volt White 2 it will always be female. Interestingly enough, this is actually swapped from the Mandibuzz Braviary on Route 4 in that it will only appear on Thursdays in Volt White 2, which is pretty interesting. And one thing you definitely want to keep in mind is this particular Jellicent will always have its hidden ability of Damp. Definitely worth having around because it will completely nullify Explosion and Self-Destruct, which is definitely something worth keeping in mind. Anyway, I think I would like to catch this thing. I don't think it's quite nighttime by the official game count, so I think I'm going to go Ultra Ball on this one. Wow, that was lucky. Was not expecting to get that first try because it's level 45 and we didn't touch it at all. Wow. We already have a Jellicent, but I think it's definitely worth catching this one just because it is pretty important. As far as I know, like the Mandibuzz and Braviary, this thing will respawn every week. Anyway, as you can see, this connects over here to Undella Town's ocean. So I think what we want to do is we want to explore this area. There are quite a few trainers around here, so I'd like to fight as many of them as I can. That being, hopefully, all of them. I'm showing off the sea to my beloved Pokémon. Alrighty. Now, I'm not sure how likely it is we're going to find something for Garchomp to show its newly found strength against. But if we get the opportunity, I'd definitely like to show it off, because Garchomp is a force to be feared by far. It is an incredibly terrifying Pokemon if you go up against it, but it is quite the force if you have it on your own team. Unfortunately, it looks like Mandibuzz is not very good of a matchup for this Gyarados here, so I think switching over to Magnezone would probably be the best move. So we are going to do that. It's really weird for me. I never ever record these videos on school days, but since it is a special Monday event that I wanted to show off right there, I figured we can make an exception just this once. One weird thing about it is I'm recording this episode on February 1st, but it is not coming out until February 10th, which is kind of crazy. I don't think I've recorded that far in advance before. I can't think of any time where I have. But anyway, down goes that Gyarados quite quickly, and now we have a Milotic coming in, which is yet another force to be reckoned with, but I think Thunderbolt should be able to bring it down in one shot. I don't know, unlike Gyarados, Milotic is not quad weak. Yep, it does indeed survive. Whoa, that did a lot of damage. That is actually a little bit scary. I was not expecting Hydro Pump to do that much. Oh well, brought it down either way. And of course we get a lot of experience from it. And we win. Very nice. And for our troubles, right over here, we have a splash plate. That will power up water-type moves when held, the Draco plate doing the same with dragon-type moves. There are 16 plates in total in this game, but unfortunately we cannot obtain any of the others quite yet. We spend our lives swimming. Of course we battle while swimming too. This is the introduction, I believe, of trainers in the water. I don't think we've actually encountered trainers in the water before this point in the game, so a little bit interesting thing to show off, although it makes sense that they would have such a thing. And now we have Whalmer. Unfortunately, I don't think many of Mandibuzz's moves will be able to do too much against this thing. Wow, that actually did quite a bit. Probably because Whalmer's most likely on more of the physical defense side, and Dark Pulse is a special move last I checked. Very nice, and that should put us to level 52. Very nice. Alrighty, up next we have Wartortle, which is an interesting one. I believe we already have a Wartortle from one of the hidden grottos that we visited in the past. So it's very nice to know that we are making some progress on that front. Water Pulse does next to nothing, and Dark Pulse is the superior pulse and brings down Wartortle quite quickly. Alrighty, up next is Lombre, which is interesting because it's part grass, so I think the optimal move would be to use Fly on this thing. Really hoping it brings it down in one shot, because Fly takes 2 turns, so you definitely want to get your money's worth out of it. And we did. Alrighty, and he's got one more Pokemon left, which turns out to be a Krabby, which is a little odd of a choice for this late in the game. I would have expected a Kingler, maybe, but not a Krabby. Down in one shot, not even super effective. And that brings down this swimmer. Okay, now the way I cover this area, since it's actually pretty much a pretty big square, is I kinda like to do a zigzag method through here. You might notice this portion of the water is darker than all other portions of water in this area. That is relevant for later, but we cannot do anything about it quite yet. One thing we can do, however, is capture this Whalmer, because this is actually a Pokemon we don't have yet. Pretty awesome. Whalmer is interesting because its evolution played a pretty pivotal role in a legendary Pokemon quest back in Ruby and Sapphire. A little bit random, but fun trivia nonetheless. Let's catch it. And caught. Very nice. I think if we give it another 2 minutes, our Dusk Balls will become more powerful as it will be nighttime, so we'll have to look forward to that. It eats 1 ton of food every day. It plays by shooting stored seawater out of its blowholes with great force. If it consumes 1 ton of food every day, I have to wonder what kind of condition the Whalmer, where they got the weight 286.6 pounds, was in. Because when you consume food, it does not magically become lighter. I'll tell you that much. Anyway, progressing further here, it looks like we have a bit of a dead end. So I think we ought to turn around and explore other portions of this area. Ooh, we do not have one of these yet. This is Mantike. Part of me is hoping this thing is fantastically rare and we just got lucky, but I doubt we did. Anyway, Mantike is alright, I guess. I'm not sure why they decided to introduce a pre-evolution for Mantine of all things, but I guess here we are. One interesting thing is it is stated the pattern on its back differs from region to region, but every single game this thing has appeared in thus far has had the same smiley face pattern, so I don't know how much that actually counts for. What does count is the fact that we caught it. I believe that puts us at 340 caught at the moment, which is awesome. The pattern on its back varies by region. It often swims in a school of Remoraid. Yeah, even though Arbok's pattern does differ from game to game, Mantyke's does not, which I find very, very odd considering they make a point to mention that every single game. Anyway, right here we have another swimmer who I guess I just have to wait for him to come all the way back around. Come on, dude. There we go. I've been challenging the Pokemon gyms all across the world. I have to wonder how many badges this guy has. Because I've got 6, and I think that's pretty respectable. The fact that he has a Basculin does not inspire confidence as to this guy's ability. Because honestly, I'm pretty sure it's been stated in the past on this LP, but just in case it hasn't, Basculin was one of the last Pokemon added into Black and White. Because after the Pokédex was pretty much rounded out, the developers realized that they didn't have a quote-unquote generic fish Pokemon to just populate all the ponds in the region, so they just made Basculin. Yeah, it's kind of disappointing actually, because I feel like Basculin kind of got the shaft and was sort of thrown in there at the last minute, and it's not even very good. I mean, if you take something like Tentacool, it's a really good Pokemon, and if you have Magikarp, it evolves into a really good Pokemon, but Basculin really doesn't have much of anything going for it. Which is really disappointing, but I guess you win some, you lose some. And wow, I was not expecting my physical attack to do more damage, but I guess it did. At least I'm pretty sure Feint Attack is physical. It is, right? Yeah, it is. In case anyone wonders how I did that, you hold L while selecting your attack and it will give you information about the attack. I feel like a lot of people don't know about that trick, but it is very useful, and I'm pretty sure it's appeared in every game for at least the past decade. Very useful stuff. Anyway, if we head over here, we have once again met the coast. So I'm going to continue my zigzag pattern, and I think we'll fight this guy. This area is actually a little bit smaller than I remember it. If you have the move Dive, you can dive and sink. Yes, that is basically what those dark spots in the bay are for. These are the only areas in the entire game where dive is useful, meaning when we do eventually get a hold of it, I am probably going to teach it, use it once or twice to explore the area, and then pretty much never use it again. Which is a little disappointing because Ruby and Sapphire made dive a really awesome feature, but here it's a little bit underutilized. Anyway, I think if we smack this thing with another Dark Pulse, we should be alright. Ooh, wow, that was actually pretty close. Alrighty, I think we don't have to exert ourselves any more than we need to, so let's just use Cut and bring down Mantyke. Alrighty, and up next is Spheal, which is an interesting one. Spheal is part Ice type, meaning I think Magnezone Steel type should be super effective on this thing. I'm pretty sure Water does not nullify that weakness, although it's possible it does. I don't actually remember. Let's try it. It does nullify that weakness. Wow. Learn something new every day, although I'm pretty sure I knew that already. I just forgot. Anyhow, it doesn't really matter all that much because we two-shot it. And his last Pokemon up is Seal, which is pretty much the same as Spheal. Same in typing and otherwise, but anyway, let's Thunderbolt this thing. And this will definitely be super effective. There we go. Man, Magnezone's just flying through the levels. We're already almost at level 53. And oh boy, Wingull. Say hello to my Thunderbolt. Goodbye. Yeah. Didn't really stand much of a chance there. Gastrodon gets level 52. Very nice. And down goes yet another trainer. Alrighty, I think we're almost done with exploring this area. I fought you. I did not fight you. So let's get ahead and do that. Time for an aquatic battle in the sea near Undella Town. Alrighty. I like how this portion of the game has a lot of optional stuff that you can do. Route 14, the Abundant Shrine, and now Undella Bay are all completely optional. I'm pretty sure you do not have to visit them one time during the entire adventure. But here we are doing that because it's really fun to have these branching pathways. That's one thing that kind of disappointed me about the Kalos region in X and Y. There's really not as much stuff there that I feel like is optional. And just as a reminder, every area that we have visited in the past couple of episodes, the Abundant Shrine and Undella Bay, Undella Town, all that stuff, was exclusive to the post-game in Black and White, which is already way more stuff in terms of geographical area than was present in the post-game of X and Y, so I hope that's something they fix when the next game comes out. It's funny, I remember back, I think it was around when I recorded episode like 12 or something like that, when they revealed the alternative forms for Z-Guard. And here we are, about 5 months later, 4 or 5 months later, and we're still in the dark about what the next game is, which is kind of crazy. Now, of course, you never know. Geez, I'd like to get a word in edgewise. You never know. This video is going up on February 10th. As I was saying, this video... Jeez. I'm just not going to move so I can get a thought out. This video is releasing February 10th, which is quite close to when the next Koro Koro is supposed to come out, and considering it is Pokemon's anniversary month, you never know, we might finally see something regarding a new game this month, so it'll have been a long time coming, and I'm very much excited for it. And of course, now that I pause... Man, I am just jinxing it, aren't I? Normally I wouldn't mind it much, but all of these Pokemon are ones we've seen before, so it's really not even worth keeping those fights in. Seeing a Pokemon use its best moves against another Pokemon is really an adventure. Anyway, right here, this little causeway, or whatever the word is, that is going north here from the bay, this little portion was not in the original Black and White. In fact, all of this beyond this point was actually added for the game, which is pretty awesome. Unfortunately, not to spoil anything, but we can't really explore too terribly much further in this direction. But just know that a lot of this stuff in this portion of the game was actually added material, which is pretty awesome. We just won't get to explore it in more detail for quite a while. Anyway, I think it's probably worth just sending out Magnezone here and cleaning up, because we have Thunderbolt. And Thunderbolt will pretty much never fail you unless you try and use it against a ground type. In fact, we're already at level 53. That's awesome. Alrighty, what's up next? We have Seadra up next. Seadra is an interesting Pokemon just by virtue of the fact that it evolves into the only dragon type introduced in Pokemon Gold and Silver. It's kind of weird. Ghost and Dragon type really kind of didn't come into their prime until Ruby and Sapphire came out, because each of those types had a single 3-member line introduced in Red and Green, and then a 4th introduced in Gold and Silver. So, for the first good 6 or 7 years of the franchise's life, there were only 3 or 4 of each of those types, which is kind of crazy. Especially considering even now, even at Generation 6, I believe over half of all poison types introduced were introduced in Red and Green. Which is just insane. I mean, like, poison type favoritism much? Although if you think about it, there's still no dedicated poison type legendary, so I guess it all works out in the end. Anyway, right here we have a cave. This is the Seaside Cave. If you want past here, you have to defeat me and my Roggenrola, and we are as sturdy as rock. But my Roggenrola and I only battle strong trainers. That is my and my Roggenrola's policy. It's as sturdy as rock. I'm pretty sure that's code for come back here when you have 7 badges. Or I don't know, maybe it's even 8 badges. So yes, even though this is an entirely brand new area and it's actually quite big, these 6 tiles are all we can explore right now. And yeah, I was trying to bait a new Pokemon into showing up, but it was just another Boldore. Ah well. Anyway, because I am incredibly lazy, and that is all of Undella Bay I want to explore, I think I'm just going to fly the 33 meters over to Undella Town. That number's completely made up, by the way. And I think that will end things off here, but I think we ought to run in here and heal first, just because we took a little bit of a beating out there in the bay. I hope they never ever change that jingle. It's just so satisfying and iconic. Anyway, I think that will end things off for now. So, this past episode of Pokemon Blaze Black 2, we transitioned over into the month of summer, and since it occurred on a Monday, we were able to capture the special Jellicent that appears in Undella Bay. And next time on Pokemon Blaze Black 2, we are going to be leaving Undella Town to the north and proceeding onto the next route on our way to Opelucid City. So without further ado, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.